Statement of clarity and discernment. This story is written in submission to the truth that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and that no one is righteous by their own works. It does not elevate morality, discipline, or personal effort as sufficient for righteousness before God. Discernment is exercised by acknowledging that human failure is universal, not selective, and that self-justification cannot restore what sin has broken. This narrative submits to Scripture as the final measure of righteousness and human standing before God. Introduction. This series continues by dismantling the illusion of exception. These stories explore the moment when comparison collapses, when measuring oneself against others no longer provides comfort, and when the weight of God's glory reveals the insufficiency of human goodness. Each narrative affirms that righteousness is not achieved, accumulated, or inherited, but must come from beyond humanity itself. The full story. She was known as a good person. Dependable, honest, disciplined. Others trusted her judgment and admired her restraint. She avoided the failures that ruined reputations and quietly distanced herself from those who made obvious mistakes. She believed righteousness was not perfection, but effort. If she tried harder than most, lived cleaner than many, and avoided serious wrongdoing, then she was confident she stood on the right side of morality. The words confronted her without accusation, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. There were no categories attached, no footnotes for exceptions. All meant all, including her. She resisted the implication. Surely this applied to criminals, abusers, and the openly corrupt. But her life was orderly, her conscience mostly quiet. Yet the phrase "fall short" lingered. Not collapse. Not rebellion alone. Short. She realized righteousness was being measured against God's glory, not human behavior. The distance was infinite. Effort could not bridge it. Comparison could not shrink it. Then she read, "Surely there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and never sins." The statement did not condemn effort, but it stripped it of saving power. Even the best human goodness remained incomplete. She saw how carefully she had curated her moral image. How often her goodness depended on being seen as better than someone else. How rarely she examined her motives, her pride, her quiet judgments, her selective mercy. For the first time, goodness felt fragile. If righteousness depended on works, then it could be lost by a single failure. If righteousness depended on consistency, then fear would rule every decision. The truth brought both discomfort and relief. Discomfort, because she could no longer stand on her own record. Relief, because she no longer had to pretend her record was flawless. She understood that falling short did not mean being worthless, but being unable. Unable to reach God's glory through human strength alone. Unable to justify herself before a holy standard. This truth leveled the ground beneath her feet. There were no moral elites, no hidden exceptions. All stood equally in need. She did not yet know how righteousness would be given, but she knew this: her works were not enough, her goodness was not sufficient, and her standing before God could not be earned. And in surrendering the illusion of self-righteousness, she finally became honest enough to receive what effort could never provide.